Hi, I'm Nicola Mackenzie, founder and mortgage advisor here at DM Mortgages, and in today's video I'll be explaining how best to work out a budget to buy a property. So to find out more, stay tuned. Now, if you enjoy the content on this channel, to make sure that you don't miss out on any more property, mortgage and finance related videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any future uploads. To give our viewers the best experience when they watch this channel with uninterrupted ads, DM Mortgages choose not to monetize it. So to show your support in return, when the time comes for you to consider your mortgage or remortgage options, we want you to head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and book in there for a free mortgage appointment with a member of our fully qualified mortgage team. Now, also remember that this video is part of a series of videos dedicated to helping you to purchase a property. So check out the other videos in the series. But today's video specifically, I'll be breaking this topic down into 4 different sections. So the first section, I'll be talking about working out how much deposit you actually need and how to make a plan to save it. We'll then look at how much you need to put aside for the costs of acquisition for the actual property. And then we'll look at how you can work out a monthly budget for ongoing costs, so ongoing mortgage repayments and then other bills as well. Now, the first thing you need to work out to start on your journey to buying a property is working out how much deposit you're going to need. And you need to put a plan in place if you've not already saved that deposit up. Now, how much deposit you need is going to depend on your personal circumstances. We commonly get asked this. Now, the one thing I can tell you is that as a bare minimum, you are going to need 5% of the purchase price of the property in the majority of cases. But you might need more than that depending on your individual situation. So for example, if you're credit impaired, for instance, then it's likely that you might need a higher deposit. And there are many other situations whereby the 5% minimum isn't going to work. But what I can tell you is that is the first target and the first goal that you should work towards, because that's the minimum that you're going to need. Now, to work out how much 5% is going to be, it will help if you can figure out and find out, do some basic research on what properties, the price of properties, the style of property that you're considering, what they start from in the location that you are considering purchasing within. And then once you do that, you know what the bare minimum is that you'll need to even make this viable. Now, if you've already saved that money up, then great. Perhaps now is the time to get mortgage advice and you can head to dm.mortgage and book in for an appointment. But if you're way off or you've not even started to save yet, then you're going to need to put a plan in place. And here are some tips. Now, let's say that the properties in your area of the typical style of property you're considering start from £250,000. Then you know that as a minimum, you're going to need 5% of that figure before you even start. So you're going to need a bare minimum of £12,500 as a deposit. Now, to get to that figure, if you've not saved that money already, I would advise that you write down all of your income and all of your expenses. What's left from that is called your disposable income. And from that amount, work out what is comfortable to you for you to save consistently every month. So let's assume you're trying to save up 12.5k, you've not saved anything to date, and you are able to save £1,000 a month. You know that your time scale is 12 to 13 months. So that's how long it's going to take you. But if you're allocating £1,000 a month, make sure that that amount is realistic, because if you aim too high, you're probably going to end up giving up. And if you aim too low, then it might take you an incredibly long time. So you want to work out how much 5% of the purchase price is, how much you're comfortably able to save each month, divide the minimum deposit you need by the amount that you're willing to save each month, and then that will give you your time scale as to how long it's going to take you. Now, some other tips, it's worth considering a lifetime ISA, because the government will allow you to save up to £4,000 a year, and they will top that up by an additional £1,000 of free cash, which you can use towards your first home. Now, of course, there are some other requirements to a lifetime ISA, but they are worth considering if you're eligible for one and you are a first-time buyer. I would also suggest that once you have worked out what a realistic amount is for you to save each month, that's comfortable for you, that you transfer it to a separate savings account, because that will help you to resist temptation to spend that money. And I would also suggest using a tracking app or having a type of current account that allows you to track your monthly expenditure, because you'd be surprised at how much you're probably spending. A lot of people spend a lot more than they think on you know, the odd coffee here and there, the odd meal out. So you need to monitor what you're spending as well. Now, the next topic that we need to look at is how much it's going to cost you in fees to buy this property, because acquiring a property, you are also going to need to pay for fees up front. And in many cases, that's going to be in addition to your deposit. So you need to ideally build this in on top of how much deposit you're going to need. So it's worth having a rough idea of how much these fees are going to cost you. Now, I would advise that you save all of these fees before you start on your journey, because I have seen some people not do this and the journey can become quite stressful when you don't. So fees are going to vary depending on many factors: the value of the property, the type of property, amongst other things. Now, according to Really Moving, the average total cost of fees to purchase a property for a first-time buyer is £2,082, and for our home mover, £11,777. But so, of course, these are average figures. You're going to need to work it out on an individual basis when the time comes. And what I'll do is I will put links to the stamp duty calculator in the description below to give you a rough idea on what the stamp duty costs might be, because where stamp duty is applicable, that often usually is the biggest cost or one of. As a viewer of this channel, I assume that you're considering purchasing a property in the near future. So it's important for you to know that DM Mortgages are an award-winning team of fully qualified mortgage brokers that provide advice to clients all over the UK. Now, we spend countless hours making free content for YouTube and other social media platforms to help to give you guys sound and useful information to make sure that you're in the best position to make informed decisions. To support this channel, when the time comes for you to consider your mortgage options, we want you to book a free online mortgage appointment with a member of our fully qualified mortgage advice team. Because without your help and support, keeping this channel going simply isn't possible. Now, we searched thousands of mortgage products from high street and specialist lenders to find the right deal for your circumstances. And we also provide a free will writing service to every DM client. So head over to dm.mortgage and book in for a free mortgage appointment when the time comes. And also make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you find the content useful. But for now, let's get back to the video. Now, once you've saved the deposit and an average cost for fees, at that stage, before you start on any viewings, make sure that you book an appointment with us and we can give you a more accurate estimate based on your situation. So once you've saved up your deposit, the fees to actually acquire the property, the upfront costs, you need to also budget for ongoing costs. So let's firstly talk about your mortgage repayments. Now, you need to work out how much you're comfortable paying each month on a mortgage. Now, yes, when you book in for a mortgage appointment with us, we will advise you on what the maximum is a bank might lend to you. But whether or not you go to the maximum is a personal decision. A bank or us as mortgage professionals are not there to do that for you, because everyone's lifestyle is different. So for example, if we've got two clients that both earn £50,000 a year, one might like to go shopping every few months and spend £500, the other might not. So therefore, that person is going to have potentially a higher lifestyle cost than the next, despite the fact that the bank might still agree to lend them the same or similar levels of money. So that's why it's really important that you need to work out what you are comfortable allocating to a mortgage repayment each month. So a tip here, write down your income and your expenditure, then look at what's left each month. From what's left each month, work out how much you would be comfortable allocating to a mortgage payment. And again, be realistic with that figure. It needs to be an amount that you can commit to long term, that you will not fail to be able to meet. And it's also important that this is done by you in the first instance, because yes, our job as mortgage professionals is to look at your income and outgoings, but then ultimately whatever's left after that, figure is a variable figure, and it's subjective as to what each individual is going to be comfortable of that amount allocating to a mortgage payment. Not everyone wants to spend all of their disposable income on a mortgage payment. So that's why I say it is partly subjective, and it's down to what you as an individual are ultimately comfortable with, because it is you that's going to have to meet that mortgage payment. Now also, the amount that you're comfortable paying each month will also be a huge influencer in how long the debt runs. So let me give you an example. A bank might agree, for example, to lend two applicants £300,000 at an interest rate of 3%. Applicant 1 borrows it over 25 years, that would equal a mortgage payment of £1,423 a month. Applicant 2 is going for a mortgage over 40 years, so that would mean a monthly mortgage payment of £1,073 a month. So that is quite a big difference in terms of mortgage payments. Now you might as an individual qualify and be eligible for both options. So that's why the monthly budget requires a mutual agreement between the bank, you and us as your mortgage advisor, but ultimately it's your mortgage. So it's good for you to have a clear idea on what your limitations and preferences are when it comes to your budget. And remember, when you're working the budget out, to also include any rent payment that you're currently paying, because of course I assume that you'd be giving up any rental properties once you move into the mortgaged property. Now, when you're taking on a liability as significant as a mortgage, it's also really essential that you protect that debt. So the mortgage repayment budget that's worked out, usually what we would do as advisors is try and work in the cost of insurances so that you don't necessarily need to work out a separate budget. But of course, that depends on a few factors, such as how realistic the budget was that you've set in the first place. And of course, the cost of cover is going to vary depending on the mortgage size, your income, how many dependents you have, your health, your age, and other factors. Now, typical insurances that you would consider when you take out a mortgage are things like life insurance, critical illness cover, income protection, and household insurance. So household insurance is buildings and or contents cover. Grouped together, it's referred to as household insurance. But these things, ideally, we would try and work into your mortgage repayment budget, but you certainly need to have a think about those things as well. Now, other ongoing costs, it's worth you being aware of other bills that you need to budget for on a monthly basis when you take on a mortgage. So putting aside your mortgage and insurance costs, you'll also need to budget for your other bills. Now, service charges and ground rents are something that you'll need to budget for, but this is only if you are buying a leasehold property, and leasehold properties are usually flats, but some houses can also be leasehold as well. You also need to budget for council tax. Now, you can use the government website to check what the council banding is, council tax banding even, is in your area. And I'll put links to the council tax checker in the description below. Now, you'll also need to budget for electricity, the cost of gas, the cost of water, TV, and broadband costs as well. Now, of course, other things you may want to pay for, but that's going to be on an ad hoc basis. They are the essential bills that majority of people would pay. Now, once you have saved up your deposit, money for fees, worked out a monthly budget for your mortgage repayments, before you start any viewings, now is the time to book your mortgage appointment with DM Mortgages for us to give you a clear idea on what properties are achievable for you and how much a bank might lend to you. Now, head over to dm.mortgage to do that, which is our website, and we will look at and compare thousands of mortgage products from high street and specialist lenders to make sure that you're getting the best options when it comes to your mortgage. But we also will provide advice around the mortgage as well to put you in the best possible position. Now make sure that you leave comments in the comments section if you found today's video useful. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any future video uploads, and ensure that you check out the rest of the videos in this series, which will help you to prepare to buy a property. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.